Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for coming to this celebration of life of our friend Janice Drake. My name is Lisa McNair. And this is a dog-friendly funeral. So we're excited about that. My name is Lisa McNair, and I knew Janice through her work with Hand and Paw. She would come by the office, and we just formed a friendship after that. And then one day she said, "Will you help me put together my funeral?" And I was like, "You're not dying, are you?" And she said, "No, I just want to get it all together." And I was like, so for the last 10 years, Janice has been talking about the funeral. And then she said, would I coordinate it when she passed? And I said, I sure would. So I thank everybody that helped me, my friend Audra, Miss Inell, Ned and his sons, and just everybody. The people do the food for helping to make this a great, y'all come on in. I'm kind of really relaxed, y'all. So I hope that she will be pleased. I know that she's thrilled that you all are here to share your love with her today. First, I want to thank the Alabama Federation of Music, Lakeview District, and Miss Bonnie Fruto for the music today. It's just been beautiful, and they will be doing all of the music for today. And so we're glad to have you here. And for the eulogy, we're going to have David and Jeff Ewing. So if you all will please come up, and we're going to follow the program as printed.
I would like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to everyone here today for coming to mourn the passing of Janice Drake and to celebrate her life. My name is David Ewing, and I've come to regard Jan as a family member, even if we were not related by blood. Jan was my father, Ned Ewing's dear friend and companion for over 30 years. And as you can imagine, the bond that formed between them over that time grew to include myself and my brother Jeff, who will speak more about this after me. I think all of you who have come to know Jan will agree that she was truly a one-of-a-kind person, one who impacted many lives, both those who knew her personally and many others who did not. Jan was born in 1944 in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, and if that name sounds familiar, it's because that is the town known for the famous weather prognosticating groundhog. Although in some respects Jan's childhood was ordinary, upon reading her self-reflections in your program, you will quickly appreciate that even in her childhood, she faced difficulties and hardship that came to mark her entire life. Indeed, her account of her strict and overbearing father, the fragile health of her mother, the loss of her first beloved dog, and her being uprooted from when she was young in Pennsylvania to moving to Florida, contain a less than idyllic set of childhood memories. However, I must say all this because, despite all of these early challenges, or perhaps even because of them, one can gather that even in her childhood she began to develop a character of strength, determination, and resilience that would serve her throughout her life. As I observed firsthand many years later when I came to know her, indeed, Jan seemed to possess a remarkable power to turn hardship on its head for the betterment of herself and for others. As she became a young adult, Jan studied hard and showed the discipline to excel in school. Following her graduation from Florida State University and further studies at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, she fulfilled her dream of helping others by becoming a certified nurse anesthetist. She excelled in this occupation, helping countless patients over the years, many of whom owe their lives to her by the work that she did to ensure their surgeries were a success. By her own accounts, which I do not doubt, sometimes she even had to step up and challenge the doctors when they made a mistake. Her attention to detail and standards of excellence always guiding her work. However, Jan's desire to help others didn't stop with her job. She turned her love into animals into a passion to use them to help others through volunteering for the Hands and Paw Foundation. She also created endowments for the Seeing Eye Foundation and the humanitarian service for nurse anesthetists. As you will hear more about these passions later in our program. Finally, she also spent a week volunteering in Haiti to help after a natural disaster, touching many lives there. Finally, towards the end of her life, she developed a passion to help those impacted by the terrible war in Ukraine. Despite these successes, Jan's life was marked by more difficulties and challenges than most of us can ever imagine having to face. In her adult life, Jan lost her older sister to cancer, 2 of her beloved Cavalier King Charles Spaniards, and a tragedy above and beyond all others, the sudden death of her beloved son, Chris. I will never forget being near this spot in March 2008 as I stood by her side mourning his death. And throughout all these losses, Jan battled through physical pain due to various health issues that are almost too numerous to describe. Yet through all this emotional and physical suffering, Jan persevered and persevered. As you will hear from Jeff, she lived life to the fullest. Yet she was always a tough one, and many would agree that she didn't suffer fools gladly. One could say that she was the true embodiment of a perfectionist. Though perhaps at times she expected too much of others, it is equally clear she demanded nothing but perfection from herself. Despite her pain, her loss, her suffering, and her tragedies, every day she found the strength and the courage to carry on with poise, with determination, with uncompromising integrity. Her grit, determination, and the will to live life on her terms were something that can only be described as inspirational. It is fitting that when she was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, she chose to pass away on her own way and in her own terms without any measures taken that would prolong her suffering. Jen, in life I never got to tell you how much I admired you for the strength and the courage you showed in the face of so many challenges. Few of us have had to endure the pain, the challenges, and the suffering that you have in your life. Whenever I start to have a problem that causes me to wallow in self-pity, I only must look at the example you set throughout your life to help me snap out of it. You lived your life to the fullest for yourself and for others, and you set a standard of excellence that I will forever admire. It has been a privilege to know you, and we are going to miss you greatly.
Hello, my name is Jeff Ewing. I'm David's brother, and I can say I made a serious mistake by letting him set the bar before me. But our father, Ned Ewing, had the honor of being Jan's companion for over 30 years. And I just like to thank you all for coming here. It means a lot to us and to Jan that you are here with us to celebrate Jan's life. I first met Jan a little more than 30 years ago when she came to a business meeting, a business conference in Seattle, Washington, where I lived. And my dad at the time called me up and he says, you should go downtown and meet this person who's coming to visit. And so my wife and I went down and we met Jan. We found her to be a really friendly, engaging, and adventurous individual. And as time went by, the years went by, I learned more about Jan. I learned of all things that she was an accomplished ballroom dancer. And if you've ever seen pictures of her dancing in her dancing gowns, it's really quite impressive. Jan loved to explore and to travel. And that's something that my dad and Jan did together over the years. The stories of Jan's travels with Dad could fill a book. And in fact, I think they filled several books of photos. They took it was two voyages up to Alaska through the Inside Passage, where they saw grizzly bears and leaping salmon, and I got to see the pictures of the glaciers. They traveled miles overland to the far north of Canada to visit Newfoundland, where they stayed in small B&Bs or bed and breakfasts and met the locals along the way. They went to Ecuador and they voyaged to the Galapagos and they visited Machu Picchu, not just local events. They even went on an African safari and rode in a hot air balloon over the Serengeti. I'm not making this up, this is true. They took travels to Europe, and I heard about a trip through the North Atlantic icy ocean around Iceland, where maybe it wasn't so comfortable, but they were there. And they even traveled to Antarctica and brought back amazing pictures of penguins and icebergs. For me, it was always just a thrill to hear the stories when they got back. But Jan was she was a hard worker and a meticulous planner, and she was always seeking to improve herself and to improve the world around her. In her working days, I remember hearing about how she would be up early in the morning before work at the gym to stay fit. And if you had seen her house and yard, you would know that it's always kept in pristine, perfect condition. If you ever were so fortunate as I have been to eat a meal at her house, you'd know that she was a fantastic cook who served a huge spread of very enticing and delicious food, always topped off by some sort of a cake, which was always amazing. And even her dogs, one of which is here today, received home-cooked meals on a daily basis. My dog never got that. So Jan acted not only in her local environment, but she tried to do what she could to improve things in the world. And as my brother mentioned, she did a medical trip to Haiti after an earthquake in 2010, and she has established 2 endowments in her name that I believe we'll hear a little bit more about later to extend work about things that she believes are important. But although Jan's meticulous planning and hard work were helpful to make her succeed in life, Jan never lost her sense of adventure. And in fact, it was just a few weeks ago when we were visiting that her friend and assistant, Clemente, who is here today, thought that it would be fun to give us a ride in his new Jeep. And he had this beautiful new Jeep with the great big 4x4 wheels, and it sat way up here. And Jan couldn't quite climb up in there herself, but she became giddy in delight like a little girl. I could hear her laughing as Alex, Clemente's brother, they just lifted her up and put her in the seat. And then we all just drove around the neighborhood bouncing along in this great big 4-wheel drive. And I think Jan never gave up her sense of adventure. And even though she was doing her best to make the world a better place, she always kept at it with her energetic and friendly way of doing things. And I know for one, I'm going to miss Jan. And I think many of us will. So thank you very much.
wonderful causes that she championed. One was the American Association for Nurse Anesthetists, hope I said that right, and the other one was the Seeing Eye. And so today we have the honor of having someone to share with us about each organization, so that that Jan loves so much. So first we're going to hear from Terry Cahoon from the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists. Then we'll have some music, and then we'll hear from Davita Isaacson from the CNI.
Hello, as Lisa said, I'm Terry Cahoon, and I'm here to represent the ANA Foundation. The American Nurse Association is an organization that Janice was a proud member of. She was a nurse anesthetist for about 38 years. I see some fellow nurse anesthetists out there as well. I was one of her students, and I can attest to the perfectionism and her holding others to high standards. She worked for about 20 years or more than 20 years at UAB, and she also worked in some office locations and for some other groups as well. She always believed that the purpose of one's life should be more than just making money, but it should make a difference and help others. As Jeff and David mentioned, she faced many personal tragedies and had great compassion for others and always wanted to help. Philosopher William James wrote that people should act as if what they do makes a difference, and it does. Janice felt like that statement really applied to the profession of nurse anesthesia. Our profession holds the power over life and death. It also holds the power to relieve pain and suffering. It's a powerful role in the medical profession, and we should never underestimate what we can do for others. As mentioned previously, in March of 2010, Janice went to Haiti. There was a kind of a temporary tent hospital set up at the end of a runway at Port-au-Prince, and she worked there to help many of the people who were impacted by the recent earthquake. That project was funded by a charitable trust from the University of Miami, and this made a big impact on Janice. In 2012, Janice made a significant contribution to the AANA Foundation to set up the JaniceGDrake CRNA Humanitarian Endowment. It was her intent to make it easier for other people to impact the lives of those who were suffering and needed the assistance of others. Thank you for the opportunity to stand before you and share Janice's dream. It's a dream that culminated out of her life experiences in anesthesia and her life's journey. Janice's heart and hands go with you throughout your journeys. Thank you.
afternoon. I'm Davida Isaacson from the Seeing Eye in Morristown, New Jersey. And I know Janice wanted me to talk about the Seeing Eye so that you would feel some connection to it like she did. But first I have to tell you about the couple of meetings that Janice and I had together. The first was actually at her home in Alabama. Being a Jersey girl, when I drove from Atlanta to her home and passed the sign, "Welcome to Alabama," I was in a bit of a shock. It's not a sign that I ever thought that I would see. However, getting to Janice's home, I know that I was truly welcome, as I'm sure, listening to others, what she did for so many people. So I met Addie, and I met Cara, and we had just a delightful time. We had lunch out, so I didn't have that great meal that you were talking about, but I'm sure that it would have been. And Janice showed me around Birmingham a little bit, and then I was off on my trek to Nashville from her home. So did she let me go by myself? Essentially not. Yes, I was in a rental car, so she couldn't physically go with me, but she wanted to make sure that I hit the interstate at the right spot and go a shorter way than my MapQuest would have showed me. So she led me to the interstate so that I would get on my way to Nashville. That was trip number one that she and I shared together. A few years later, Ned and Janice came all the way to Morristown, New Jersey, to the Seeing Eye. What a delightful day that was. I hope, Ned, that you agree. First, we toured the campus, and part of our campus is a fully certified animal hospital, which is in use for our dogs in residence. Janice made the comment that she has seen hospitals that are not as clean as the veterinary clinic at the Seeing Eye. But the highlight of the trip was to what we call our breeding station. The Seeing Eye breeds, raises, trains, and then matches dogs, guide dogs, with blind individuals. So she saw a snippet of that mission. We got to the breeding station, and the breeding station is what they call a barrier facility, and I'm not quite sure, maybe the nurses in the audience know what that really means, but I know that it means very sanitary. So picture this, if you will. We're going in to see the dogs, but before you can get in to see the dogs and the puppies, you have to put on a jumpsuit out of a gauze-like material from head to toe. Head to toe. And so you walk into a small room, no bigger than a walk-in closet, and across the room is a wooden, narrow bench. One side, the side you walk in on, is considered the dirty side. The other side of the bench is considered the clean side. So what you must do, now picture Janice doing this in her pristine outfit that she was wearing that day. You have to sit on the bench, put one foot covering on, swing your leg over so you're straddling the bench, put on the other foot covering, swing that leg over, and then proceed to pull on this bunny suit, all the while now standing in the clean side of the room. She did it. She loved it. And it was all because she knew the treat at the end. The treat at the end was visiting with new mother dogs that had just whelped puppies a day or two before. She got to go into the whelping pens. She got to hold these newborn puppies. The smile on her face I will never forget. And then the piece de resistance is to go into what we call the puppy playroom. In this room, there's a slide, there's stairs, there's tunnels, there's toys, there's funny hats, there's all kinds of things to get the dogs used to at 6 and 7 weeks old, to get them used to stimuli that they might see anywhere in their travels. Janice got down on the floor. The dogs were all over her. She loved every minute of it. And that was our visit at the Seeing Eye breeding station. I will never forget her look. She just loved it, as I said. The Seeing Eye has been around since 1929. It's the oldest guide dog school in the world. As I said, we breed, raise, and train guide dogs for the blind. She felt that this mission was so important, but mostly she felt, as you can imagine, that the treatment of the dogs was foremost, and we believe the same way. So she created an endowment for veterinarian services, which to this day is accepting contributions so that her legacy can live on. For that, we so value her. She valued us, and we valued her just as much, if not more, in return. It's my honor and privilege to be here. When Janice asked me to do this, I had the same reaction, Lisa, that you did. You're not going anywhere soon, are you? This was years ago that she asked me to come. And she assured me that she was not, but I would have been remiss if I did not stand before you today and tell you how much we value Janice Drake. Janice, may you rest in peace. Your life is a blessing for so many. Thank you.
Now we're going to have a moment if anyone wants to get up and say some words about what Janice meant to you. We're asking that you keep your words to about 2 minutes. And first we want to start with her son, Brian, has written something. And are you going to read it? Okay, Audra's going to read what Brian has written.
Good afternoon. I stand before you. My name is Audra, as you know, and I'm reading this for Janice's son, and these are his thoughts. The title of this is "My Mother Was Complex and Complicated." Since my mom passed, I regret that we never had a close relationship like a mother and son should. There have been so many missed opportunities over the past 40 years. As a kid, I felt like my mother was being difficult, unfair, and making my life harder with her demands for perfectionism. Trying to live up to her expectations for me was exhausting. Whenever I thought I had succeeded, she would criticize my efforts, and then I feel deflated. Even as I became an adult, my mom thought she knew what was best for me, despite my own ideas, mostly about my life. We disagreed. Even though she thought she was helping me, but it felt more like she was criticizing me, which in my opinion wasn't helping. No matter how simple I tried to explain my views, she couldn't understand me. Although our relationship was sometimes difficult, we still had a lot of good times. In 1986, we went to Gulf Shores to the beach. And in 1988, we went to Washington, D.C. to see the sights. Christmas was especially memorable in our house. I remember my mom always wanted to capture every moment of opening our gifts by taking before and after pictures. Chris and I just wanted to rip through all of our presents in record time. Still, my mom wanted us to always be able to look back on those moments and cherish them. Though we usually talk about opposing views, my mom always asked if I needed anything. Whenever I came to visit, I always went back to Texas with some clothing or other useful items. During other times, she just sent me money or stuff I needed. Despite our interesting and somewhat complex relationship, we loved each other in our own special ways, and I'll miss having her around to talk to. Her sage advice and willingness to help me will also be missed. Already miss you, Mom. Hope you are happy and at peace. Love you now and always, your son, Brian.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Santillan, and I met Janice like a customer for the first time, and after that we just friends for 7 years ago, and I can tell, and everybody's here, she's always appreciated with everybody is around to her, and she always loved everybody and take care of everyone too. So I can tell after we be friends, I can tell she always take care of me like a son, and she always take care of everything. And I can tell Janice, I'm gonna miss you, and you wanna be in my heart all the time, and you wanna be in my mind, and we wanna miss you. Sorry.
My name is Ned Hewlin, and Jan and I have been friends. We met on a blind date some 30 years ago, and it has been a wonderful experience for me knowing Jan. We've done a lot of traveling together, and we've been such dear friends with one another. It's impossible to explain to the fullest how much she has meant to me. But as you know from what people have said here and what all of you have experienced yourself, what a wonderful person she was. And I'll never get over missing her. Thank you.
I'll try to be brief. I met Janice as her housekeeper. And I would come over and clean her house every Monday. And I'm laughing a little bit because her house is perfect. It's never dirty. There was nothing to clean. And she wanted me to clean, dust everything every single Monday. But I would be sad going to her house. This was a couple of years ago. She's been planning her funeral for forever. So every day I would be over there, she would be writing out her program. So to see it, in person, it's kind of sad for me because I would be in her house crying about her funeral and she wasn't dead yet. She was very particular. I'm hoping to see the tiles today that she wanted to put together, I guess, for the mausoleum. She was very upset about it because they had to be perfect as well, and they didn't look like she wanted them to look. But I'm gonna miss her and her love for her dogs. She loved my dog. I don't live here anymore, but I definitely drove 2 hours to be here because I had to see her one last time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Malloy Minifield. I work with Jan as a nurse anesthetist at UAB for over 25 years. I've had one of her meals with Ned, and you probably don't remember, but we had a meal together at her house, and it was a wonderful meal. But she was a friend of mine, and I hopefully was a friend of hers also. We had plenty time together. We talked a lot together, and we shared a lot of experiences. She will be missed. She was a wonderful person. All of the things that you said about her were correct. She was very meticulous, a perfectionist, and she will be missed.
Hello, my name is Steve Stewart. Jen was my friend, and I will miss her. Jen and I were next door neighbors for over 30 years. We had a few dust-ups early on, and her construction mud running down on my newly established lawn. My son riding his bike on her newly established lawn, and the precise location of the property line. That was important. These and other issues were resolved and forgotten. Jan was my friend, and I'll miss her. We often spent our Saturdays working side by side in our yards. She was likely the slowest grass cutter I've ever seen in my life. But she was out there doing it, and it was to perfection, of course. We loaned each other tools. We offered a helping hand when one was needed. Jen would sometimes walk over with 2 glasses of water and insist that I stop working and cool off for a little while. Jen was my friend, and I'll miss her. We shared each other's anger and frustration and heartbreak as we dealt with loved ones who were struggling against their personal demons. We offered each other consolation with the death of her youngest son and the passing of my father. Jen was my friend, and I'll miss her. We shared good food and wine and listened as Jan spoke of her travels to Alaska, the Arctic Circle, Peru, the Antarctic, wherever she went. We spent many hours standing in the shade along our common fence line, discussing grass seeds, pruning techniques, and generally solving the problems of the world. Jen was my friend, and I'll miss her.
Good afternoon. My name is Sheila Akers Hunter, and I was Mrs. Drake, or she would have a fit if I called her that. She would always remind me, my name is Janice, and that's what you're to call me. I was her hygienist at the UAB School of Dentistry for several years. And she was a perfectionist, because when Dr. Vaz asked me to become her hygienist, she wanted to know my qualifications. She said, I only let Philip clean my teeth, so you have to be as good as Philip. He said, she's better. I loved her. We became the very best of friends. And if she called you her friend, she meant it from the heart. When I got ill after I retired, and I told her I was going to retire, she said, I'm not gonna let anybody clean my teeth. So I had to convince her to let the other person clean her teeth. And we kept in touch. She wanted to come and take care of me when I was sick, even though she was sick. And I would always tell her, I'm not home. I'm here, I'm there. Well, I'll drive to where you are. That's the kind of friend she was. I love her. I'll always love her. She'll always be in my heart, and I will always miss her.
My name is Teresa Atkinson, and I live across the street from Jan. I'm the neighbor that doesn't have the perfect yard. Yard work is not my thing. But my mother passed away last year, and Jan, I just want to share this with you. She was my friend and my husband's friend, and my husband's been battling many illnesses over the last few years. And let me just share a note that Jan wrote to me. Dear Teresa and Jim, my heart and prayerful thoughts are with you. None of us know what trials the other is embracing. It is very evident that we are going through what is outlined biblically in the Bible. I have to remember that God will not give us more than we can handle. I want to share with you the following. I wish I had a big yellow umbrella, and that would keep away all the rain in your life. I would hold it over your head, and the drops would splash, 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 and you would never feel it. But I don't have a big yellow umbrella, so I'll walk with you through the rain with you and Jim. I'm lifting you up in prayers and thoughts. I love you, Jan, and little man, Talia. Talia was the wild one of her 3 King Charles Spaniels. He liked Jim and I's backyard because it faced the woods. Many, many times I would help Jan find Talia in the woods. And he also decided when my car door was open one day and I was talking to Jan, that he would try my newly roasted chicken from Publix. He had it in his mouth. Jan, as a friend, offered to replace it. I said, no, that's okay, he can have it. But I just wanted to know she was my friend and we loved her. Jan, we'll miss you.
I'm no speaker at all, but my husband and Ned were both doctors at the same hospital for many years. And he would come in and he would talk about Ned and mention that Ned wasn't married. And I met Jan at Eastside Baptist Swim Club, and we started talking, and she told me that she wasn't married. So I'm the one who introduced Ned and Jan. So they were together many, many years, and Jan was a wonderful person. So I just wanted everybody to know that I'm the one who introduced him and gave him a wonderful life.
Amen. Well, this is going to be a little different because I actually work for the organization here of Rideouts that you're in today, this facility. And I met Janice through preparing for what we're here for today. And it's so interesting to hear everyone speak about how meticulous she was. She was meticulous in this as well. And periodically we'd have a 3-month check-in to make sure that I still had her file. I quickly learned that when she said she wanted to do a review, go pull out the files, get everything lined up, because we were going to be here for a minute. But through that, I've learned so much from her. And I just wanted to leave you with this. My name's Titania Alexander. I go by Tan. Some of you may have heard it. But I want to leave you with this. The things that people have come up and said about her, wouldn't you want that to be said of you? You know, yes, she was meticulous, but that just meant she was committed to excellence in her life, committed to excellence in her relationships. And I was sitting in the back and I just sort of thought about that. And I thought, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if she could be here to actually hear all of these words? And what better legacy did she leave for all of us than the opportunity to step up and be the absolute best that we can be? Be the friend that'll write you a note that's so precious to you that you keep it in your Bible. Be the one that even though I'm going through something myself, I want to come and take care of you. It just means so much. And the best thing that she gave all of us was the gift of her time. So just wanted to share that with you and express our condolences to the family and encourage you to celebrate the life of an incredible woman.
Oh, okay. Try to say what I thought about Janice. I miss her. She was really sweet. And you know, there was a significant age difference. So I know people wonder, like, why are you friends with that old lady? You know? But some of you know and some of you don't. I lost my sister before I was born. She was killed in the bombing at 16th Street Church. And so I always wanted a big sister. And Janice was kind of like that for me. And what I think is cool about Jesus is, you know, that God will give you what you need. It doesn't matter what color they are. She would check on me. And when my mama was sick, she wanted to do the same thing, come and see about me. I was like, Janet, I live in Bethlehem. You cannot drive all the way from that Roosevelt. Don't do that. And when I got laid off at my job, I was cool with it because me and Jesus had prayed through that thing. I thought Janice was going to go down there and shoot somebody. She was so mad. And I just love her, and I'm going to miss her. And the other day, I found 3 voicemails I hadn't cleared, and I figured out how to put them into my voice memo so that I could hear her say, hey, Lisa, it's Jan. How you doing? And I'm going to miss her because she was a great, great person. So. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say before we move to the next point?
Just say quickly that she picked each of these songs for y'all. She loves you, and she would want you to know this.
After this last song, we're going to head over to the graveside, and you all are welcome to come with us. Also, we want you to come back because there'll be food. Janice paid for a lot of food. She wanted everybody to come and eat plenty of food. And then there are plenty of these souvenir programs if anybody would like to have one of those. Everybody's welcome to come back, and she wanted everybody to share. Thank you.
Consider all soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, how Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art.
Today in our chapel. If you'd like to join us for the graveside service, you may at this time make your way to your vehicles and pull them around to this side of the building. We'll be leaving in procession shortly. Thank you. Would the pallbearers step forward, please?
Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you that I go and prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and I will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And you know the way and where to go I am going.
From Janice, entitled, I Did Not Just Die. I did not just die on June 6th. A part of me died on March 12th, 2008. My entire life has been lived with a sense of desperation and emptiness, and after Chris's death, to an abyss beyond this world. No matter how much I tried to find meaning to my life, there was only void and feeling of darkness. I do not know what I would have done without my canine family. They were my family and always gave me love, comfort, and sensed all my needs. Our lives were intertwined, and we communicated on a plane unknown to most humans. If dogs don't go to heaven, then there is no heaven. Eternity for me is being with my canine family. Life is not a destiny, but a journey in unknown time. All you have is this moment.
This is a poem Jan picked out of Rainbow Bridge. Just this side of heaven is a place called Rainbow Bridge. This is where our dogs go when they die. Guided by a dove, I have transcended this world to be with Angel, Kara, Addie Mae, and one day Talia. They were my family, my comfort, and touched my life every day. At Rainbow Bridge, I find them playing in the sunshine, meadows restored to health and happy. Our eyes meet, we run towards each other, embrace, and and once again are reunited. Never to part again, we cross Rainbow Bridge into heaven.
I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Every rainbow is a sign. Every rainbow will be a sign of our love for you. My life is now vapor, which seeks refuge in the hearts I have loved. Love is like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it. My love is an eternal ember. To live in the hearts of those who love you is to never die. Queen Elizabeth II said, "Grief is the price we pay for love. Do not grieve for me." Helen Keller also said, "What if what we have once enjoyed we can never lose? All that we love deeply becomes part of us. You will never lose me because our lives are bound by eternal love." My life was lived for others, always giving. I never stopped giving. I just ran out of time. A life well lived is a precious gift.
Hey, may I have your attention just a couple more minutes, please? Thank you. The release of white doves has traditionally symbolized the spiritual message of hope and of remembrance. And although we all wish Miss Drake was still physically here with us, there are many, many, more than we could even count, loved ones in paradise who have waited and waited so anxiously, so patiently for today, so Janice could rejoin all of them. So we're going to release this flock of doves in remembrance of all those loved ones who today are welcoming Janice Drake to her heavenly home. Hey guys, get here. Just be gentle. Now the sacred doves in Scripture are said to be messengers to God's ears. This last dove, now this one is symbolic of Janice's spirit. As they release her to rejoin the others, let's send with her our message to God, that we all hope to see her again someday, that we will see her again someday. Bye, Miss Drake, you're going to be missed. Don't lift her up. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you watch closely, that flock hasn't left the area. I'm trying to get us out here in a clearing. You can see the lone one going there. And if you follow her for a little bit, the flock is not going to leave the area until she joins them. So there they are, coming underneath right here, see? So they're close by, and there she is, and they're just about back together. And now that they have reunited, they're going to all fly safely back home. Those birds will all be back at my house. It's back over towards Irondale, so they